Why we make home visits. It goes back to the core of our conference, back with Blessed Frederick and his companions. The home visit was the hallmark of what they chose to do. When Frederick and his colleagues were responding to the non-Catholics in the Conference of History, they said, yeah, what have we done lately? And especially, like, what have we personally done lately? So the six of them got with Emmanuel Bailly and said, what can we do? A famous quote that came out of that from Blessed Frederick is, let us go to the poor. So the home visit is the core and the hallmark of what it means to be a member of the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. That's why we're encouraging a lot of the conferences to either renew or reinvigorate their home visit ministry. Looking at this picture, I don't know, it's probably very difficult to see, and I know it's a very poor picture in the participant guide also. This is a portrayal of Blessed Frederick actually visiting, conducting a home visit with a poor family in his doctoral robes. Behind Blessed Frederick is another Vincentian handing out bread. And behind that Vincentian is Blessed Rosalie, observing and instructing the young Vincentians on the way to deal with the poor. I hearken back to at the beginning of Matt's presentation after lunch, and pull that quote out again from Blessed Frederick. The knowledge of social and well-being and reform is to be learned not only from books and from the public, but by climbing the stairs to the poor man's garret, sitting by his bedside, feeling the same cold that pierces him. With our home visits, you can get all the information you want over the phone. You can get all the information that you would need to help them from forms. But by actually going to them, you feel the situation. There's also other benefits of the actual home visit. First of all, there's a sense of, I go with the bottom bullet first, familiarity. We, the visitor, is going out of our comfort into the comfort zone of our neighbor. The neighbor is at ease, we are not, rather than forcing them to come to our office where we are at ease and they are out of their element. They're a lot more responsive, a lot more open, and you can develop a much better relationship. And the relationship is a very important part of what we do. The home visits establish and maintain the relationship. I love that story that you had from the St. Luke's conference about actually the help they made was not paying things, but helping them build a budget. It's maintaining that relationship. And you can't do that with forms and office visits. Home visits are personal and intimate. You get to know your neighbor. And then we recognize that but for the grace of God, we could be in a similar situation as they are. Realizing that it's the grace of God that brought us there, and the grace of God which will help us and the neighbor continue on. That leads to the results of transformation and conversion. The home visit is the core to our spirituality, because Again, remember, the primary goal of being a Vincentian is to grow our own spirituality. And it is through the home visit, through the service to the neighbor, that we allow the Holy Spirit to make that transformation in us. What do we bring to the poor during the home visit? Most important is the presence. It does a lot more good than any type of material assistance we make to let somebody know that somebody cares. Hope and love are the primary things that we bring. Get information and self-help. Now, when we do the home visit, we observe probably twice as much as we give. You can see things that the neighbor probably doesn't even recognize as an issue. And that may be compounding the problem and they don't know it. Helps us with our response on how to help the neighbor. And sure, we provide a little material help. But putting this all together, the big thing we deliver is hope. Why not in an office? It'd be easier and more efficient? Yes, if all we were about is providing help like a government agency. But we provide more than just the material help. Being in an office is easier for us. We really don't feel the cold of the poor man's garret that way. But we're not out for quantity, we're for quality. Again, it's easier for the people we visit. We know the tyranny of the moment that we just talked about. Making an appointment, getting to our office can be a challenge for many of our neighbors. Put that burden on us. We have to make the time. We have to make the effort to get to them at their schedule. It's more effective to better understand the real situation. And also, we better see the face of Christ when a person is in their personal environment. They're at ease. They are not nervous. They're not putting up the public persona that is expected when you visit a, quote, superior. We're coming to them. We're no longer telling them we're helping you out of pity. We're superior to you. We're better than you, but we have pity on you. Us going to them makes it they're equal to us, and they are. Every one of us is made in the likeness of God. It's only by particular circumstances that we, in that moment, have a slightly better situation than they are in. The society is built on the premise of efficacious service, not solving poverty. Okay. So as I said, doing the home visit is the core. It's our hallmark. It's what makes St. Vincent de Paul stand out from all the other assistance agencies that are out there. But quickly cover how we do that, and then we'll have a video, and then Gina's going to take over after the video to talk a little bit more details on that. When we do home visits, we do it in pairs. There's several reasons for this. First, when two or more are gathered in my name, there am I. By two Vincentians going in the home visit, even if it's to a non-Christian, Christ goes with us. Also, we go back to the gospel. When Jesus sent out the 70 or 72 disciples, depending on which version you read, he sent them in pairs. So just as Christ is sending them, Christ is sending us. But now in the modern environment, it's safety. It's natural for us to have two people gathered there provides the safety, both for the safe parish for those of you, if there's any children involved in the household, we don't have to worry, we got that covered. If there's any disagreement with the neighbor, there's 2 voices to compare notes. Another aspect of that is there's another set of eyes. While one Vincentian is talking with the neighbor, getting the information, finding out what's going on, the other one can be observing the environment, the reactions of the neighbor, and get a lot more information while the first Vincentian is getting the details. So although it is, I guess, according to the rule, it must be done by pairs, it makes sense. What happens during the home visit? Again, disclaimer, there's a lot more to the actual execution of it, which, again, your conferences better adapt to handling the needs of your neighborhood. But there is training available from the district for home visit training. And we have the Serving at Hope modules as well, which your conference may want to borrow and use that to either initiate or invigorate your home visit ministry. Like any good ministry, you have to prepare ahead of time. Preparing for the home visit, review the case records, know what the need is, what the circumstances are, from what they have given you over the intake that the call takers have provided you. To take what resources you think is going to be needed, whether it's food. A lot of times, in my conference, our home visitors take food anyway, even if it is a call for rent assistance, because very likely, if they have trouble making the rent, they probably have trouble making the food budget too. And it's a little show of generosity, and also food always puts people at ease. When you go to a fancy dinner party, you take a bottle of wine, same type of thing. It also shows that you are establishing the relationship. And again, pray with your partner before you go to the home of the neighbor, bringing Christ in with us. When you meet with the neighbor, be relaxed, be friendly. Remember, you're the guest now. They're not coming into your office. You're in their office. I'll give you time to read those slides so I don't read them to you. So, again, getting all the facts, putting the neighbor sort of at ease, letting them know that people care. And there is hope. There is a way forward. Even if it's a way that we personally cannot do. A lot of times you can take a resource pamphlet from the county or other agencies that say, we can't help with that much money, but here are some agencies that you can contact that may be able to help. In my conference, we have a trifold paper that's full on all six panels with the various agencies with the various specialties they have. That alone can help out if your conference is not capable of the actual assistance needed. And then typically close it out with the neighbor by inviting them to pray. If they do, great. If they don't, fine. And then you close it out after you leave the neighbor And before you leave your partner, close it again with a little bit of prayer and reflecting on where you saw the face of Christ with this neighbor. Are we evangelizing? Sort of. This is not an intentional evangelization effort, but every time we do anything and people know we're Christian, you are evangelizing. They'll look at your behaviors, your attitudes, and say, this is what a Christian looks like. So if you're friendly and helpful, they will think of that in a positive light. If they're not Christian or if they're fallen away because of their situation, it may encourage them to renew and strengthen their personal relationship with Christ and with God. So in a sense, we are always evangelizing. But this is not to go out there and say, I see you're not a Christian, would you like to become one? That is not the time for that sort of question. But if they ask you questions about it, by all means, answer them honestly and openly. If they ask for where's the nearest parish, let them know. Or if they don't want to know about Catholic, they want to say, well, I was raised Baptist, where do I go? You can help them look it up, that sort of thing. Okay, communication tips, just the typical dialogue. If you ask a yes or no answer, that's what you're going to get, yes or no. So try to remember to phrase your questions in ways that it's going to let them open up to start exploring what's going on. And when they say something, follow up with clarifying questions to let you know that you're actually listening to what they're saying. And you need a little bit more information, follow up. Be an active listener. If you have suggestions, keep them couched as suggestions. Not you need to do this, but have you considered this? Now, if you're doing with non-English speakers, talk slowly. The ones that they may know English, but it's difficult for them. Talk slower. But you don't have to talk louder. Hearing is not their problem. It's understanding your English words. As always, be compassionate and empathetic. And you can reinforce the good that they have done. For the very fact that they called for help is a very positive thing that you can reinforce in them. Because rather than struggling and just giving up, they've reached out for help. And that is takes a lot of courage for them to do that. Acknowledge it to them. I guess it's now time for the video, and I'll hand it over to Jean.